Okay, what we're going to do now is have a look at a little bit of tree pruning. There are lots of different ways that we can prune trees, but the first thing you want to do is to look at the overall tree and see where the problems are. And I think on this mountain ash, Sorbus ocuparia, it's fairly obvious low down where the issues are. You can see that there's a sucker coming from the base, one on this side, one on that side, and that is sort of messing up the shape of the tree. Also, we sometimes need to come under the tree and get around it. So there's this one, which we could remove to what we call lift the crown. So the first one would be to removing any sort of suckers or shoots from the side, and removing this one would be raising the crown. So let's have a look at that first. So if I was just removing this one here, it's a bit awkward with the stake in the way, but the stake's quite solid. I could take the weight off, I could just cut a little bit through on this side and cut through there to just slightly ahead of it. There we are. Take that one out, and then we can cut it down lower. That's it. Do that on that side, and we'll do a similar thing on the other side. What I'm going to do is just remove, I've got a little bit of dogwood that's just blocking the way, so I'm going to actually just prune this bit of dogwood back a little bit, just so that it's out of the way. Okay, and that's giving me good access now to prune this other side. What I'll do with this one, I'm just going to cut this straight through and support it, slight angle, as low as I can through. Take those two out. So branch there, we'll do that out of the way as well. And then what I'll do is just to remove this little sucker from the base, take that out. And that already is beginning to improve the shape of the tree. Now we've got a nice single stem, and if I want to remove this one, I can cut a third below. So we remove the weight first, because if you try to do the cut straight the way through, it might rip and tear down. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a third from below, come slightly ahead of it, and cut down to it. Not to meet it, but slightly further out. Then that breaks off without ripping back. Then what you do is you look for the branch bark ridge. And you can see there's a wrinkly growth here, so it's wrinkled all the way around. And so we want to find a good angle to cut just beyond that collar, and then the tree will heal much quicker. If you cut it flush, you'd have a great big wound, and you damage the cells which overwall and literally callus the wound over. So I've got the angle is going to be something like that. In fact, I can get a better angle from working underneath. So I'll just work underneath and come upwards, just so I get a really good angle on it. And there's my cut. And that's the branch bark ridge. That will overwall quickly. The new cells, the parenchyma cells, will grow over it, and that will callus over nicely. Just looking into the tree, you can see there's one or two other branches here which need to be thinned out, because they're just growing across into the tree and they're going to mess up the shape of the tree. So what I need to do in there, I'll just do that as a single kind of cut, working that way. Just cut through it, and then that can be removed. And you can see now that's opened up the tree quite nicely. So where you remove branches inside, that's now just crown thinning. So we've got another tree here. This time it's, as you can see, there's some branches here off an older tree, and it's got a lot of epicormic shoots that are, these are shoots that grow out from the base of the plant, from the side of the plant. You see it a lot on lime trees, trees like that. So what we're going to do is to just remove these epicormic shoots, or whiskers, some people call them whiskers. And so we'll just try and get a bit of the debris out of the way. Put that to one side. Okay, there we go. Just see if we can get that one. Just cut that one a bit closer in a second. Just to remove that. And what we'll do now is we'll switch to the loppers. Just getting a little bit tighter on that one. So get rid of all the epicormic, and anything that's going to be too big for the loppers, we'll switch to the pruning saw for them. There we go. So now we've got to that, we'll just take out a few more bits here. Switch back to the loppers. Take that out with the loppers, and now we're left with that one. So now we'll switch to the Grecian or the pruning saw, and what I'll do is we'll do a cut underneath. We'll come slightly ahead of it, cut down, take that down, and then we'll finish it off with just an angled cut to improve that. Now you can see that really we need to just lift the crown a little bit by removing that one, and then a little bit of light thinning, and then we'll be nearly done. So again, we'll just cut in a third, cut that way, remove that, and then we'll just cut that off. Now we stand back, have a good look at it and see what else needs doing. Well, there is dead branches up here, so we can remove some of the dead wood. This is a poor branch here, it's split in 2 or 3 places, so I'm going to just take that off. There's a branch here which is quite low, so what I'm going to do here is just lift the crown, prune back to the branch bark ridge, take that one off. There's a branch here, not the best of branches, it's got a bit damaged again, so again we'll just prune that away. Have another look, see, and looking at that one you can see up here there's some 1, 2, 3 not very good branches, so we'll take them out. So this is very much thinning out the crown. There we go. Then we'll, there we go. And then we'll just switch back to the secateurs, bit of pruning. Branch going downhill, which we don't want. We'll take that out. Branches that are going straight up through the middle of the tree where most of it is growing out sideways. So again, we could remove that one there just to balance it up a little bit. If you've got a lot of branches occupying the same space on the tree, then obviously to avoid problems later on, you could remove maybe the middle one. So that's, again, a bit of crown thinning. If it's sprawling out too much, the other thing we can do is what's called crown reduction. So you've got crown lifting where you lift the crown thinning where you thin out the branches. And if they grow out too far, what you can do is reduce the crown. So you cut back to a lateral or a node. Again, there's a bit of dead wood there, I'm just going to take that off. This is all congested here. So again, we'll take that out. We'll take this middle one out to stop them growing into each other. Always back to a lateral or a node. And we'll just take, let's have a look at that, stand back a little bit, have a look at the overall shape. And looking at that one, we've got a little bit of damage up here on this one, which will help a little bit if I take that out. That will stop those jamming into each other. And so what you can do this crown reduction, whereby you actually reduce the height of the crown by a percentage, 5% or 10%. The only problem with this system, if you do a crown reduction, you get a proliferation of growth afterwards, so you get lots of little side shoots that come out, so it can end up lollipopping trees. So it's not always the best way or the preferred way, but sometimes you have to. So here I've got that's going to grow up into that one, so that's crown thinning. Take them out, and where it's just gone a little bit too far out, a little bit of crown reduction. Okay, so that's crown lifting, crown thinning, where you take out some branches, and crown reduction, where you reduce the overall height of the crown.